I tried to turn on the computer. At 9:45, thank you very much, Richard, because otherwise we'd be in real trouble. I was replanting tomatoes outside.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm also into hemp and cannabis cultivation and breeding,
Oh,
um,
excellent.
and exotic plants as well. But what I have for an idea for what you have for your community is similar to the structure that I've begun to set up down here, which is I have Doja Farms. I have Doja Bath Company where we have products that are sold globally, and 10% of those sales go to my nonprofit organization called the Doja Project, where we will be targeting federal funding and grants and donations alike for our women and children hiatus house. We've got low income housing, there's addictions, um, all sites of programs that are my initiatives with the nonprofit. But I do recommend that your organization has a nonprofit branch to it where you can help and collectively help and allow others who are able to help to do so, like with your initiatives. Um,
I like that a lot. One of the things that BCEC lacked, that's our original Beach Community Energy project, the incorporation was very narrow because we were applying for the feed-in tariff program. So BCEC is a corporation with share capital. Glassworks, Owen Sound, is a development corporation without share capital. So it already is a nonprofit.
okay.
So that allows
So
new
if you have that,
organizations. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it allows new organizations to come in and make that decision. We have a food products group that they're caterers, and it's a small business, two people, and they want to maintain control over their small business, and that makes total sense. And it's so it's profit making, although lately she's had some problem with making a profit, but she's very committed cook and her assistant. So I think if our organizational structure stays open that way, we can we're now taking memberships that are donations. We can't yet give a tax receipt. We're working with the Owen Sound Community Foundation, and they're willing to give a tax receipt on approved projects. As you know, the CRA is very tough on this, and I guess I support them. So individual projects, they have to, the Owen Sound Community Foundation has to evaluate them, but then a donation would be tax receivable. They would give the tax receipt.
So even if we register you as a federal nonprofit, does that one sound still govern your donations?
Oh, that's such an interesting thing. Well,
So I would want you to
hmm,
be nationally a national nonprofit, not just a localized one. And that will allow you to have a lot more creative freedoms and abilities, a lot more funding, and you can start accepting donations almost immediately.
gee, I like that idea. I'll bring that up in our next
So
conversation, which is next Thursday. That
I will
sounds
love.
cool.
I have a generalist expert that worked for the municipality down here and since left. So he's now a generalist expert that's not tied to the government. If anytime you would like to consult him at all for any reason, he's a really great young man, and he just gives me all of the tools and information available for anything that I feel is on my mind or heart.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, let's. I think this is this is a very exciting meeting. So I'm just trying to make a few notes because if I don't, my poor tattered mind will not
No,
remember
and I
everything.
feel you. I've got the ADHD, and I was in a hit and run car accident with a transport, so my attention span is I have to keep it. One, there's two or three things I want to touch on that are part of my programs down here.
Sure, sure.
As
Let's
Ian,
let's let's
yeah,
go right into it, just in case you're disrupted.
no, and it's okay. So it's possible to work with the schools in your area.
Yes, we always
Um,
do. We are involved in them.
and then I would love for you to cultivate hemp.
Oh,
So
you were
that
you were right on. Our one of our founding people wants to use hemp block insulation.
So I want
Awesome.
you to develop an entire construction process.
Yes,
There's
perfect.
actually companies that will come into the brick and mortar homes, strip them, and redo them to hemp.
Oh, You are so on beam. Keep going. Keep going. Everything
So,
you say so far
so
is
next
wonderful.
there's a thing called period poverty where there is no sanitation products for women. Diapers,
Yes.
pads, tampons,
I,
diapers,
yep.
toilet paper. All the deforestation needs to stop. I am an Indigenous person. Up until last year, I was working with the Lower Thames Conservation Authority. My reserve here, we had 50 acres. I'm also a tree nursery where we do replantation. So as often as possible, I advise against deforestation.
Oh my
Vertical
God, you're
farming
amazing.
and
You're right
zero net.
on exactly where our team is.
Yes. Yeah. So it's protection, conservation, and the welfare of the people is number one here. But I think that if you tie in all of these components, that on a national level, nonprofit, you'll be able to do more faster, help more faster with more freedoms.
Sounds good. Sounds really excellent. May I say we've already set aside 14 acres of what I would call sort of arroyo land for tree heritage tree restoration, in particular nut trees, because it's an area where the drainage has changed dramatically over the years. I'm not sure whether you can see that again from our website, but there's a section right now which is a naturally regenerating forest, but it's not where the forest was, if that makes any
So
sense.
what you should do is get some drone footage of that.
Yeah, we have a drone, but it wasn't focusing on it. That's the problem.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
uh, do
No,
take a look at the
I love
Glassworks
to be involved in
website.
conservation projects, and I encourage you to continue with that.
Yeah, oh no, for sure. We really want to. We're actually started to work with the Conservation Authority when our original site, which is why the thing is called Glassworks, was the back half of the Glassworks site at PPG, which is not very far away, 500 meters away. But the land was brownfield, and so we were working with the Conservation Authority as recently as we started in August 2016. So they're very keen to work with us on well, replanting for sure, and they love the idea of nut trees.
Yes, I love that. I'm not sure if there's any reserves near you at all.
Two, two.
Um,
The Copoy Bays Band is the closest, and it has been engaged through one of our outreaches was to Habitat for Humanity, and they actually suggested the landholding concept that I explained in the opening, and they've been building now at Copoy's Bay for 6 years, 2 units a year, and they want to build on our site.
that's excellent.
So I think we're very parallel. Thank you very much, Richard, for thinking about this, and thank you for being the son-in-law down there.
Oh, no worries. No worries. No worries.
Yes,
um,
I'm
can you
so
tell me a
grateful
bit
every
about
day.
how did you fall into this? I mean, I always like to ask sort of why and where do you want to be in 5 years?
Okay, so I've been in the cannabis industry since about 2015 before it even came about. I begged my parents to please get me licensing. I
Oh, those
had,
parents, they're so bad.
yes, yeah. So I ended up establishing my own farm, greenhouse in Leamington. I moved my farm and operation to the closest reserve here. We partnered with a gentleman with like 60 or 70 acres.
Excellent.
I ended up leaving that partnership as it was a very toxic, masculine, not like this group. Um, so I left that because various reasons, and then founded my farm. And it's got 6 female directors now.
Oh, you will love ours. Ours is 7 female directors, and then the lowly two of us, Ron and I.
Yes. So I have a few, like Ian works very closely with me every day. And I have a few silent male partners that I've had since I was 18, honestly. But in terms of the company and all the nonprofits and all that, it's all mine. And then they just have a really great team of driven directors that are always there for me.
That's excellent. That's really
She's
excellent.
incredible. She's incredible.
And Ian and I connected through the community. and it's just been a whirlwind. And to know that him and Richard are connected, it was just a no-brainer to have my farms operate vertically with no emissions.
Oh yeah, no, it's a brilliant idea. In fact, again, going back to the we've had some seriously difficult conversations with the planning office at Owen Sound, but one of the things that I noticed in their M zoning, we're zoned industrial, is they allow for cannabis farms. So there's some interest in our group in taking advantage of that section. Although I'd really like to talk to you sometime about security, because what do you do if you're in an open piece of land with no surrounded by 22,000 people? Because this is right center street. It's basically the middle of Owen Sound. We're going to have some more conversations about this. I'm sorry. I hope you're not. Are you being drawn away?
No. I would predominantly go with the hemp if you're in and also I've done the cannabis thing in the greenhouses and whatnot. There is a lot of what there is there's obviously theft, there's pest control, there's diseases. They're very hungry plants for a lot of nutrients, very fickle. But the hemp is nothing like that. They survive off like sugar water. It's and toxins and pollutants and
yeah.
Well, we have toxins and pollutants. One of the things that you'll learn, because now I know we're going to be still involved in 5 years, is that Owen Sound Harbor is actually as polluted as Hamilton Harbor.
Wow.
So while the site is completely beautiful, and you look out across Georgian Bay and all the wonderful things involved in that, you can't drink the water, sit in the water. It'll eat you away.
Wow.
So that's why my hemp needs to be everywhere. And I have great news for you that all over North America, over the next 3 years, construction's already began on processing facilities. So you can send your biomass, your hemp biomass, to all these brand new production facilities that will be less than 3 years old all over North America to produce products. All you do is give them biomass and they'll send you products finished back. Whether it's a battery, a cell phone, a TV, a plank of wood, anything. That's what my directors, some of their main jobs is to target these facilities and to let me know what can be made there.
Well, this sounds like a how can I say this? I don't want to be, I don't want to, my age group has I get accused by my wife of mansplaining, so I won't do that. But it does sound like we developed completely in parallel. You will get along really well with our board chair, who is the head of the women's organization in Owen Sound, and our the recent person that joined our board is a former counselor, and to say the simple word feminist would not be enough. She might not even. She's the one that calls me to control when I speak too much. She puts tape across my mouth.
Yes. So it's a really great great opportunity to work with all of you, and I feel very confident. And if you're a friend of Richard, you're definitely a friend of mine. And it's so rare to even have anyone interested in the technology. Nobody wants to listen.
Yeah, it's not a society of listeners. It's a society of bubblers.
And that's the thing, is like I've known about these projects for almost 2 years now, Ian, and my previous partners that I left last year, they did not even want to listen to me. I don't know if it's because I'm a female or because I was inferior. I had this great technology. They just it was deaf ears.
It's quite obvious you have too much for them to handle, my dear. It's quite obvious, right? I think Robert now can attest to that over the course of maybe a 30-minute period, right? Yes. So again, I appreciate all of you, Robert. As I mentioned to Angus, we appreciate you more than you know, right? What else would you like to add, Robert?
Well, I think the education focus is probably the one that we haven't covered so far.
Oh yeah.
my history started in 1968 at the University of Toronto, calling for access for students to just information and decisions that affected their own lives. I think one of the cries was tenure is never having to say you're sorry. Um, so I've been involved in education reform here in Scarborough and in the city of Toronto for many, many years. And I actually, I very little heritage stuff. You know, having a legacy is hard, but the thing I'm most proud of was the alternative school policy, which, among other things, led to 30 alternative schools here, including the Wandering Spirit Survival School. So I have experience, some experience in listening, although, again, my family yell at me because I do speak too much. But I think what's happened is our cooperative has developed team members who will individually and collectively fit so well with what you've just articulated, and they may shush me, and I don't mind because at 72 you're used to getting shushed. so
I get
so
shushed all the
I'm
time.
very optimistic, and we're also, I should say, we're also very stubborn. The co-op had to change provincial legislation to get the Green Energy Act, and then we had to change provincial regulations in order to get permission to put a parent-run cooperative solar panels using the air rights of the school. It was then copied by a very large corporation, which I don't care that much, although they did not keep the educational and community development aspect of the project, and I think that's quite sad. So I'll always be advocating for education, environment, and employment. Those are my 3 E's. And
So I didn't even I have so many projects and dreams and all these things. Like if and you seem chatty, and I like that we can just kind of go back and forth and cut each other off, because you're a rare breed to be able to do that. Most people are like, please don't interrupt me, please. But so I'm actually trying to get a 100-acre campground down here in Chatham, Kent. It is adjacent to a reserve that I was working on, Moravian Town. It's owned by a 94-year-old, and I would love to develop it with pod nets, and have it like a children's educational agricultural experience. Kind of like Tim Hortons Camp Day, these children's camps. You leave planting tomatoes, but it's also going to be interesting because we get free child labor out of it, advertently. But they're going to be planting things and learning how, and that's what I want them to do.
Now, when you say trying to get, I'm old enough to say trying to buy or trying to have left to you.
So I am trying to get the 94-year-old to agree to sell. Yes.
Because Leamington is very expensive, and 100 acres, $100,000 an acre is a lot of money.
It's in Bothwell, which is about 15 or 20 minutes north of Chatham on the Thames River.
Oh, that's bad. Whew. So that's very expensive.
It's not more expensive than Leamington at all. And I do have good news. I have about a $900,000 farm located on the border of the National Park of Leamington. It's taken me the last 2 years to acquire possession of it back because of the pandemic. I had squatters in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so they left 48 hours ago.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So
Congrats. Congrats.
I'm just waiting for the limo celebration, honestly.
Yeah, wow.
The field's been planted, so I'm not going to be doing anything with pods or displays down there for right now. But what I can do is I'm going to turn it into an Airbnb and get ready to sell it, and then hopefully get that 100-acre campground in Bothwell.
Right. We initially priced lots in Owen Sound, and thinking of buying a bunch of pre-designated residential land, but because of the view, and as I say, not because you can use the water, because of the view, the Toronto developers own basically anything that was ever zoned residential. So they want roughly $60,000 for a lot 100 feet by 110. So it was just not possible for us. And when we were notified about this estate sale, we were right in there, right at the very beginning, and spoke to the four inheritors and said, "What are your objectives?" And all of the women aged 70 to 78 wanted income. So our co-op was able to raise, using in some cases people's visas, enough money to buy the down payment, which secured the land. And we have a vendor take back at 3 years open at 5%. So it's given us 3 years for the breather to organize all of the various things that you've so far you've listed everything that either we've already talked about or would like to do, and certainly to get our pod. The only part that has not been awkward in the conversation with the planners has been the employment lands part, and that the pod fits employment lands. So we're proposing a multi-use between the two.
Ian, have you touched base on the proposals and all of the new funding that's available?
Well, my understanding is, as we discussed, it's a matter of confirming when it is you want to start the project you have in Ontario. Right. So you mentioned your home base initially for the PyraPOD 4. So once you put the numbers together for that and confirm actual dates, I think you've mentioned August, or is it July? So Richard will confirm which date we can be prepared for that.
Yeah, probably.
And then
August.
Richard, no worries. And Richard and I will go through those details together, right? Of course, having you on board, going through those details to confirm what it is we're doing and the numbers that we're providing. And as I said, I think, it was August essentially that we should be, getting funding. So as I said, don't be concerned about that part. This is the most concerning part right now. What's occurring is connecting with Robert, right? Seeing the options available, right? As you know, I always have your best interest at heart, but please continue.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to assure you and give you security that we will mimic already approved proposals.
Oh, yeah.
I have a project just slightly ahead of us in Alberta right now with a gentleman, I think maybe 1 or 2 years older than me. He came out of the Canadian Forces. He said, "Marissa, what should I do?" I said, "I'm into farming. That's what I think you should do."
Yes, farming's great.
And he said, well, check this out. And I said, well, no, check this out. And I sent him PyraPOD link, and he had sent me something similar, but not nearly as similar. So his proposal is going through, and he's looking at in the millions of funding. So you don't have to worry so much about how much these lot prices are going to come out to be. The biggest thing is to start the initial small project, the PyraPOD 4. Take an already approved proposal, insert all of your objectives, initiatives into your own proposal, and submit it to the federal government for the green energy.
Will they be making decisions before the election? Because ours is a very controversial swing seat. It has been the deputy leader of the Liberal Party. It has also been Conservative. It's never been Green, although the Greens came third last time. It's going to be a very controversial election. It's a town gown kind of election in the sense that
this funding that I want you to go after is federal. And it was released in last 8 or 10 weeks there, Ian?
Yep.
Several $100 billion budget for the economy and these green energy initiatives. We can send you an overview of what is included in that. Ian and I also have, our nonprofit team that can help with that. His cousin Denise would help with constructing the proposal on your end. But that's what I think that you need to do right now is go after this money that's been announced and in a timely fashion.
Now again, you can never, given the bubbles we live in, you can never predict the outcome of an election. But my sense is the Liberals are drifting in towards another majority, and the constituency assistant for the current treasurer is running in Owen Sound. So there is a possibility of a flip there, even though it's been, as I say, it's been a conservative actual seat federally for, I think, 17 years. So, but they're targeting Owen Sound. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that evolves. But I certainly would like to get forward with knowledge forward and share with the rest of our group any possible federal funding, because while we have some credit union support and of course a membership that's willing to donate, what would be great is to have some underlying grant funding.
Most definitely.
Now, in terms of Aubrey and yourself, Richard, which we can take offline, I really want to talk about that, a possibility of training, because a modular tiny home contractor is thinking of taking part of that corner, and he's just finished his first 2 tiny homes on wheels, and they're really quite neat. He's a carpenter woodworker, and we have a woodworking co-op. So I think there's a linkage there where he's quite young and he could actually learn to assemble the pods too. So that's a nice synergy, I think, with some of the things that we're going forward with.
Yes, Richard, have you mentioned at all about the customizations that have already been going on with these pods? Like in LA, for instance, the one that's covering the swimming pool?
Neat.
Yeah, no, I looked at that with Robert. Hey, Robert, is it Robert or Bob when you're in?
It's just Bob.
Bob. All right, I'll make a note of that.
Yeah. Okay, Bob. Well, no, I think we didn't really get a chance, recently, because that's been happening recently.
If you get a chance, Richard, send me that specific case study, because
sure.
The town is going to require us, and we're not going to fight it, to have an internal settling pond, so that no water that we use and turn into gray water leaves the 46-acre site. And so what could be we've been talking a bit about aquaculture there, but maybe this is an opportunity for some more pod work.
Well, we're always interested in water thermal mass, so a settlement pond is, in our terms, one big thermal flywheel that can it fits into your district heating, cooling, if we can, think about that. I mean, that's another.
Well, Walmart is 400 meters away, and they have a buy green energy policy, and that they're implementing across the United States. And so far, of course, the Ontario current government has fought them like the plague. But
I didn't realize that. I'd like to actually look on the Google map and
Yeah, you should look at the site, because there's also a steel cutting plant beside us. There's also a composting area for all the residents of the city, the next block over. Okay. So grass cuttings, organic biomass. We've been discussing the possibility of biomass for heating and cooling as well. Yeah. So that fits very much with the ideas that Marissa was talking about too. So I think look at, if you haven't already looked at
Aubrey's
the drone footage gives you a pretty good idea, and then go just step back 60,000 feet and you'll see there's a Catholic school. I mean, we're not quite central. We're central in the old French Catholic part of Owen Sound. So where was your grandparents? Ian?
Oh, no, sorry. So it's on my daughter's mother, right? Her parents are from Owen Sound, so I don't really know specifics. I might have been there twice on, visiting, the family, other side of the family, right? But like I said, I'm just happy the fact that it's kind of full circle, reconnecting with Owen Sound.
And so cool, because we're on the east side, which is the French Catholic side. So it's a really interesting history. The town was divided by the Sound.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I happen to speak French as well, donc c'est pas un problème du tout.
Wonderful.
Donc,
People
not pas du
love
tout.
Bruce.
Most definitely, not a concern. So what I'd like to do is just, organize another meeting, immediately, as I'm sure Robert is thinking, right? But of course, first of all, we'll get you those necessary details for you to look over and of course share with your team. Marissa, as you know, we can talk directly after this call. No concern. I'm available anytime. Aubrey, number one guy. As you can see, things are getting done, so no concerns. Richard, of course, I'll be talking to you every second of the day. So, Marissa, my dear, you have the floor. Tell me.
What should we do? Is this a good idea?
Yeah, move as quick as you can.
All right, let's.
That's the consensus.
Absolutely. And make as much noise as you can.
I do like the idea that we follow in Aubrey's footsteps. By the way, he's showing the pool over the pod over the pool, the PyraPOD over the pool.
I can't see anything from Aubrey today.
It's actually 20-sided. It's almost.
I'm
round,
I'm
right?
on a tile view usually, so I see everyone. Are you
Okay.
on?
Yeah, I can only see three faces and then an A.
Aubrey, why don't you try to leave and come back?
What's that? What's wrong?
Yeah, because I can't even hear Aubrey.
Well,
we can't
you're
see
there.
you, but I can hear you.
Oh, well, I just didn't speak, so now I speak. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but
Yes,
I can't
yes.
see
And
you.
talk
or your
about training my indigent workers, please.
Do a share screen in.
I'm
Aubrey,
sharing
and
my
everyone.
screen.
No, are you?
But you're
Yes.
frozen, Audrey.
Aubrey.
On my.
Oh, I'm
No,
frozen.
I
Maybe two.
Yes.
Yes. It's
Okay,
very
I
cold.
can come back
There we go.
again.
There we go.
There you
Yeah.
go, Aubrey. I can see your screens.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
File
see.
view. Or
Yeah.
sharing your screen.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
Richard, I need you to be a voter. Have you been able to penetrate our site yet and join?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that.
Please,
There you
no,
go, Aubrey.
don't say I'm going to get to it. It's
Yeah.
top priority because
Okay,
I can
okay.
only include people in the site committee if they're actually members, and they're very the 7 women out of 9 on our board are very determined that I not break that rule.
Ian's
Okay.
I've broken every other rule.
Oh no, I'm just
Right after this.
trying to organize what's happening, man.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
waiting. I'm just waiting.
No, it's so much a members only thing that
Okay.
if I step out of line, it's tape on the mouth and maybe even put in the corner.
As soon as we're out of the call here, I'll go to the website.
Right.
Good enough.
So,
if you need money, I'll send you $50.
You can
Okay.
walk
Okay.
through this,
Now
and
we've
then
still
have a
lost
stairway.
Audrey. I want to go back to your dreams. I like your dreams, Marissa. Are you getting a better reception in a non-toxic workplace, i.e., in your own company?
Yeah, of course.
Now, sharing is sometimes difficult when people have been tortured in a toxic workplace. As I said before you joined, ours is a very diverse. Oh dear, very diverse and very spirited group of people.
We are, yes.
So the whole question of an economic partnership like this, which I immediately like, there's a finance committee that I'm one of 4 on that. There's 3 very articulate women who will be asking what things cost, what do people expect in 5 years, what do they expect in 10 years, and then there's the tough question, what do they expect for their grandchildren?
A clean earth, a clean energy, clean living. I will never leave my pods. Why would I leave my
I will
pods?
never leave my pod. I know.
It's clean in there.
Yeah,
I
you
know
need the
it.
pot.
Yes, the earth is only going to get dirtier. The air on the earth is dirtier than it's ever been.
Yes.
And
It's
and
true.
we need to stop with the carbon, the emissions, the footprints, the dirty, the gray waters, like everything. It's got to know. We need our
100%.
forests back. We need
And
our
plant a
animals
trillion
back.
trees.
Yeah, true.
100%. So, Robert, what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring everything to fruition as soon as possible, like Marissa is stating, and of course, like Richard would like to do. And like I'm very sure Aubrey wants to have things accomplished immediately as well. So what we can do is schedule a time, I'm sure early next week, whenever you're free, as mentioned, after you receive certain details, right? My component here is just, trying to make things happen, right? So Marissa, let's talk in a couple of minutes, right? When you're prepared, when you have some time. Richard, again, I thank you so much, for putting us all together here. Robert, of course, as mentioned, will be speaking shortly. Aubrey, we're getting things done, my friend. Do not be concerned.
Yeah.
And would anyone like to add anything so we're able to connect again shortly?
I think that's a good idea. Aubrey, I just want you to say you're committed to training people to put these things together.
Oh,
You
no
can say it.
problem.
I don't need to see.
I want everyone to learn about this. So.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. I love meeting you guys. And any friend of Richard's is a friend of mine, and a relative of Richard's is even better. And Richard's undertaken to call George and Douglas, two of our other members, who are the water, how can I say it, the water team, because water is it's actually one of the ways we're going to get rezoning, because the town is really having difficulty with the water table. And of course, they can't use Georgian Bay directly. So the fact that we have the expertise in water filtration, water cleanup, we know more about reeds than you ever want to know, especially bulrushes. So I think that'll be a great overlap. And I don't know whether you've sent me the LA idea, but when I put you back on the spot again, Richard, as a member leading a team, and then you introduce Marissa as the real leader of the team, and you can be taped shut and Marissa can talk.
She's prepared. She's prepared to do so, my friend. She's prepared to do so. So, Robert, again, we appreciate you more than you know. Looking forward to getting to know each other even better. So please, be rest assured that we'll